all geographic areas, blah, 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 blah. So we have a hint already that this data comes from an external data source. So how do I turn it off or on? You know, I want to control if my laptop talks to Apple. So if you go to preferences, to security, here you have a way to turn it off. If you have a Mac, check now if it's turned on by default. It was for me. Now, the second part to check if it's on or off is here in date and time zone, set time zone automatically using current location. This is actually which will use this location D service. This is an application for the location D service to go and ask Apple where is my computer now in which time zone. Now, I tried to connect to that from the hack center. Well, it didn't work. The Wi-Fi signal was just too messed up there. But it's not only Apple which is doing that. It's also, you have the same stuff on the Android phone, on the G1. This is unfortunately German. It says, do you want to allow Google Maps to use the network communication and the GPS device? This is something new. It's not just my laptop anymore. It's also something, a phone with a GPS device. So actually, it's sending the BSSIDs, the Wi-Fi network IDs, including the GPS information to somewhere, in that case Google, and asking, you know, where am I exactly? But actually, it knows. It has already the GPS information. Well, it gets back more detailed information and actually reported where this BSSID is located according to GPS. Now, if a couple of users do that, we get crowdsourcing. We get a very detailed picture of the distribution of BSSIDs and the signal strengths of those. Okay? So we have a really smart way to use us here as a distributed sensor network. Okay? So the company behind most of these things, or the market leader, is Skyhook Wireless, based in Boston, and it's founded in 2003. It services the location-based service market, and it was very successful in creating a Wi-Fi positioning system, WPS or XPS, which takes advantage of hundreds of millions of Wi-Fi access points throughout populated areas to give you precise information. Okay, so this is taken from the Skyhook Wireless website. Now let's take a look at the location-based service market. What is that? According again to Skyhook Wireless, they believe that soon all mobile applications in app stores will be tied to location, or many of them. So they assume a massive growth in that market. And the Yankee Group projects that this market will explode to 7 billion applications in 2013. Don't know if it's true. I believe it. The other part of the market is, of course, you know, how big is that money-wise? If we take a look at all the smartphone sales now, this is getting pretty big. So recently I tried to ask in Vienna, in my hometown, tried to ask for somebody if we can get an iPhone for Christmas for somebody, right? So Apple Store told me, no, sold out, sorry. They sold 200,000 in Vienna, which is, or I don't know if it was Vienna or Austria, but it was really a lot for a small country. So everybody replaces their mobile phones to smartphones. Smartphones have GPS devices inside. So we're all a big, massive crowdsourcing for Skyhook Wireless. So Skyhook Wireless is in your iPhone, your iPod Touch. So the iPod Touch will be just a consumer because it doesn't have a GPS device as far as I know. It will just consume this data, so it's practical for the iPhone Touch users. But the iPhone users actually will transmit GPS information. The G1 Android, Snow Leopard, and then there are a couple of tools like Undercover iPhone or a Cyber Angel Y-Track, which are very practical. They allow you to monitor where your phone is going. So in case you lose it, it's really a practical service. You can delete it. You can even turn on the camera. For undercover iPhone, you can turn on the camera of the laptop if it gets stolen. So, you know, it's a service that I would personally accept. But still, it sends constantly to Skyhook Wireless. Another really nice thing is the iFi camera. Who knows the iFi camera? Yeah, okay, so it's a couple. So it's basically a small card that you put into your camera, and it has a Wi-Fi chip inside, and it will actually also use the Skyhook Wireless service to geolocate where you took that picture and put that into the picture metadata and send that off over Wi-Fi. Skyhook Wireless has another service, Loki, which you can integrate into your web page. It has a very simple JavaScript API, and basically you can make your web server location aware, and the user will just get some, I think, Java code, and the Java code will tell the server where the client is. So another small but really nice thing is Layer. You can download that to your, I think, iPhone and G1 for sure. Maybe you heard the talk about augmented reality before. This is basically it has augmented reality, but connects to, again, Skyhook Wireless and also other databases. I think Google also, and will actually report to tell your phone where the next pizzeria is or whatever. So it's you can point it to somewhere, get the picture from the camera, and have directions on it. It's very practical, actually. Okay, so how does Skyhook Wireless work exactly? I said before, the BSSIDs of the Wi-Fi networks are scanned and reported in the signal strengths, but it's not only that. It's of course also the cell tower ID. It's the GPS, as we said before. And allow me to briefly show you the advertisement by Skyhook Wireless directly. Hope this works. So this is the XPS advanced version. So they advertise it to 10 to 20 meters accuracy. I saw like up to 5 personal experience. Since GPS doesn't work very well indoor, Wi-Fi does. You also get the indoor effect. So I think it's pretty interesting to see how, honestly, they report about all this, and nobody's talking about the privacy implications of it. So we have the cell phone towers, the GPS, the Wi-Fi here. So we can see we're actually living in a very dense field of electromagnetic waves here. So your client is on your smartphone, runs on really many smartphones. We'll collect all the data, ask the service, where am I? I have this data. The service says, you're there, and thanks for the data. Okay, so initially Skyhook Wireless was driving around with cars. They also advertise it on the web page, and then at some point you can really use the crowd. But you need to bootstrap this process somehow. Okay. So it's really nice to see how all the data goes in. Woo, woo, yeah. And now we're conquering the world. Okay, so we saw briefly before the coverage map of at least the US.